So now that we got our walls all finished, I trimmed on, everything looks good in here, all spiffy, bright and flashy. I want to start on the flooring. I always do the flooring last, so I don't have to clean the floor when I'm done. So what I'm going to do is I'll cut the flange off. I'm considering whether I want to replace that valve or not because it's so close to the floor. It's like hard to get your knuckles on it. I can put a split flange on, but I don't like to see a seam in the floor. It'd be nice if I could drill a round hole, set the flooring down, and it looks like it was always there. But I'll cut that flange off, it's all rusty. I'll make that decision. I'll have to unsweat that fitting, heat it up, and then either sweat a new one on or use a different style. Maybe a push on or some type of PEX, shark bite. And then I'll get this floor cleaned up. We've got about a 5 by 6. We got about 30 square feet. We got to shim up under that doorway so it can go out to the edge of that. We got to cut our threshold to length, set it in on top of that, find out how much of this doorstop we got to cut. We probably got to cut a little bit of an angle so that that can fit in, but that can be toward the end. And we'll lay out our floor, start cutting. I'll be using a jigsaw around the square there, possibly the oscillating tool. We get over near the toilet flange. We'll be using probably a drill bit and or just the jigsaw to make a nice circle. And then that flange, that split escutcheon plate we got to deal with. We'll figure out what we're going to do there. So let me get stuff in here. I think I'm going to start on this wall, work my way across. That's going to be the most visible. And then the highest traffic obviously is at the door. So I don't want to put a full board down in a little piece. I want to put a full board running this way. Or I might cut the boards in thirds, figure out how I want to go to use the least amount of waste, but the best looking pattern. You know, you don't ever want to line all the seams up. And we'll see how this looks. So I know this is the last piece you put down, but it's the first you have to plan on. I cut the threshold to length. Should be a whisker long if I come up into here at the doorstop. I also cut this shim, which is also the base that you attach. They have pre-drilled holes. You can put it down with staples, glue, or nails. It comes with screws. This hardwood floor, so screws. They usually give you something soft, so they tend to break. I'll probably just use a little air staple here or whatever. So I line this up, and then if you look at the end, this piece here, probably hard to hold, touches this side, and this will rock. See that? So that's how you can get this angle. And it'll line up something like that. I kind of want it right about there. You see how this interferes with the doorstop? Does it fit in there? Just fits in there. So that's how I want it to finish up. Just like that. So our flooring has to come all the way out to here. But to know where it's got to come out, I flip it over. And I got to find out if we can even use this piece on here. This you can cut off with a utility knife. I want this so it snaps into. That way we don't have to have screws visible in our threshold. And we need that rocking motion because this here won't come close to the floor, but this will go all the way down to that floor. So I'm going to take and measure so that I have my 1/4 inch expansion, and then I'll know where to run my flooring. Okay, these are never exactly, you know, like 3 foot or 4 foot. But if we did that size, full board, that's where the end goes. There's our 17 7/8 marked off on another piece. We place that in. That'll leave us about a 29 3/4. So we could start it back down here. It would go to there. Then we'll end up with about a 36-inch piece. Cut that, that'll leave us almost a 12-inch piece. So now what we got is we got a stagger from there, there, there. And then we could repeat that. And because the room is so small, the repeat is going to disappear way over here. And I think that's going to give us good pattern. Normally what I do is I open a box, lay out a few, make sure I like it, and then decide if I'm going to change it. And if I'm going to change it, it just requires me to move that down. And like I said, I want to try to do this within 2 boxes of flooring, not have to buy an extra box, so I don't want waste. Okay, before I cut any of this, I wanted to make sure it would line up good. So I got a bunch of scribbles on the floor. The boards are a little harder to figure because they're like 8 5/8 inches wide. So I made a series of marks. And what I've got is, if I did a full plank, and I started with a full plank, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and a partial row. And that partial row is only like 1.5 inches, not quite. So that would look kind of terrible. And then these type of locking boards don't lock down nice if they're very short. You know, there's no weight holding it down. So then I went to the center of the room and I measured backwards. Now if I did that, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 full pieces, a little 1-inch piece, little 1-inch piece. So that would look terrible. So then I picked a number like, hey, so let's say 5 inches, right? So I did 5, and I would end up with like 5 and 5, whatever it was. And so I said I came up with 5 1/4 inches. If I did 5 1/4, full, 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 and another 5 1/4, then it's going to line up and look nice and even. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rows. So no matter how I do it, I'm going to have 7 rows. The width of these, sometimes you're lucky enough to take and cut one edge and you can use it over there. Well, because we've got like 8 5/8 heavy in width here, that's not going to work with a 5 1/4. So that's what I'm going to go with. Our room is short enough that we still should be able to do this in 2 boxes. I don't want to buy another box and have extra material I got to charge a customer. So I'm going to rip these down at 5 1/4 inches and then space it at the door. The piece left over I got to cut will fit right here at the door threshold. So no waste again. That'll bring our flooring up. I can air staple or, electric staple that down and line it up right where I said I was gonna. And then I'm going to use a jigsaw or circular saw. When you're doing a long rip, a circular saw works great. You tend to cut it straighter too. And so I might be doing that. If I do it in the house, I'll go ahead and have to vacuum after each board probably. But rather than going out through the garage or whatever. I'm peeking outside here. We got a dogwood out here that's starting to bud. It's 60 degrees today. We had, I think you saw it there, I put wiper blades on the car the other day and we had, I don't know, 3-4 inches of snow overnight. Had to plow. So kind of strange weather we're having. It's going to be another 65, I believe, tomorrow. And then we're going to get rain. So spring is coming, guys. So now I can work from the left to the right. I just laid that there to see how our pattern's going to work. I like it. Everything's going in nice. We don't have any seams lined up. Looking good. Right around our toilet flame is just a jigsaw. This is looking good. I got one more board. I'm going to measure and see if I like it. I don't know how big an opening I want to cut in it. If I take the handle off, I can slide it down over. Okay, the floor is in. How's she look? I like the color. Remember, I chose that color because it had like 4 colors and it'd bring out this blue with that light hue in it. We got staggered seams. We got no, random pattern. We got a 1/4 inch gap. Now we got to do the threshold. I'll do that in the morning. We've got a split ceiling floor flange that I was able to use. I took the supply line off and I took the handle off, but I left the valve because it's sweated on there. And then that opens up, closes. It's not as pretty as this style. I tried this one. And when you bend that up, it just wouldn't go high enough because that valve is so close to the floor. That's my complaint. It should have been elevated. It's like way down at the floor. So I'll return that one, and that's gonna work. That looks good. The hole, I was drilled a round hole, so it worked great. And now what we gotta do is we're gonna do quarter round PVC around. We're gonna take and sand the register because it was kind of bumpy, almost like rust. I'm gonna sand that down and paint it. I'll probably run a little bead of caulk around the base of the casing. I like to do that around the door. Then we're going to put our multi-piece threshold in. We're going to bring the door closed, measure. We take the door off and cut the bottom of the door. And this floor project to be finished. We go ahead and put the toilet back. I'll look around, see if we got to touch up anything, see if I scratched anything on the walls. It looks pretty good so far. And run the vacuum, get the Swifter out, and we're ready to rock. So this is a vinyl. This should be easy to maintain. You can slop water on it, whatever. And I think it looks pretty decent. So I'll see you when I'll get the chop saw. We'll cut some molding, and we'll get the nail gun. We'll get all that trim finished, and then we'll set the toilet. The reason I like the chop saw right in here is I do my measuring, and then I whisk her down. So I make it just a hair long, and I whisk. So that's why I don't want to run outside 10 times. But see, they're not nailed yet. They fit really nice. Let's see what we got on this one here. See, I've got like no waist. See how she fits. Nice. I figured I'd use 2 in here and have very little waste. Now we come over into this section, and here's my little cut off scrap. You see, that would look pretty terrible like that. So you could either notch and slide it all the way down, or if I can reach over here, is we could take our pen or whatever, and we could miter it back this way, but that would still leave a little divot in the wall here where it's a little harder to clean. So it's probably going to look better, hold this, is to cut this and get rid of this so that this will slide down, touch this ranch, but the ranch is on a diagonal because it's thicker here than it is here, so we'll have to do the front edge on an angle. So it's a multi-cut here. So I did about a 7-degree angle to match the casing, and then I notched that out, so that should fit around the corner and be a better finish versus a diagonal back and leave a little hole in there. Let's see how she fits. Yeah, see that? That's a little cleaner look. So now I'm just going to nail these off, sweep this room out, and I'm going to run the, I'm not going to put the caulk on yet. We got to do the threshold. That's the next step. Now this is a 1950s ranch. It's a 16-inch floor, on-center floor joist, 2x10s. Got a hardwood oak flooring. 1950s, and check this out. Set your square on your floor, run it up to the wall, and see what we got. So if I set it on the threshold, run it over, there's a gap. So if I went ahead and cut that door straight across the bottom, it would work, but I would probably end up having a bigger gap on this side than that side. The floor joists are slightly sagging. A lot of the center carrier beams in these homes, they settle. You know, they usually attach 4 together and put them on jack posts, and they settle. And so the best thing to do in this is, like I said, is measure from here to there, measure this other side from here to there, and then I'll probably end up cutting this more on this edge, less on the swing side out here. And I want it to line up even when the door is closed. When it's open, it doesn't matter. But when it's closed, you don't want a higher gap on one side than the other. So if we measure, which I just did, from the threshold to the bottom of the hinge, we've got 6 1/4. And from the door to the bottom of the hinge, we have 6 and almost 3/8. Hard to hold the camera. Just under half. That's not a good angle here. So I would say probably about a 3/8 of an inch cut off on this side, and it's probably going to end up being about a 1/4 inch off that side. Okay, moment of truth. I tightened those screws up. That squared up a little better. When you go to cut the bottom of the door, I mentioned put tape on it. Well, guess what I forgot to bring? I didn't bring tape. So what I did is I marked it, drew a straight line, and then I took my utility knife and scored that line several times so that when the saw blade comes, it doesn't peel that up. And it worked out really nice. Let's see how good it closes. Hopefully it closes good. Nice. See that? So now we're in the bathroom. We see this floor. We don't see the other floor. We go out in the hallway. We close the door. We see the threshold. We don't see the bathroom floor. If you look straight down on it, see that? A little fuzzy here. Focus. And you see that? It looks good. So that's a proper way to do the flooring. What I'm going to do next is I took that register out in the garage. I sanded it and I spray painted. I got some Rust-Oleum 2X white. I'm going to go around and I'm going to check the paint. Make sure I got I don't have any scratches or anything I got to touch up. And then we can bring the toilet in and set that, and I believe this project shall be done. Okay, I put a little white putty on the little nail heads. They look nice. I put that register back together. I caulked the trim at the bottom. So it looks good and neat. Now we're ready to set the toilet. It had a wax ring. We're going to go with a Lifetime, if you call it that. Let's see what it is. It's a Fluid Master Better Than Wax toilet seal. No leaks, no worry. Just reusable. And you get to stack them depending on the depth of your flooring. Screws, nuts, everything's with it. Okay, I set the new toilet back there and put the caps on. Got a water line on. See, that's a nice clean look. Looking this way, you hardly see it. Well, you basically don't see it. And let's test it out. I turned the water on. Actually, the whole house water I just shut off was easier. I'll check for any drips and leaks. I'll check it a couple times before I clean up here. Flushes fast. Looks good. A slow close seat. So now what we got to do is run a Swifter in here and get the little fine dust and dirt and go right on out through. Finish picking up. And this project will be completed. So thanks for following along. Remember, we did the ceiling, took light fixture down, painted the trim, painted the walls. I picked the color. We put down a base over there. We put quarter round. We put flooring down, threshold. We had to cut the door down, painted the window trim. I got to hang the shade back up. That's what I did forget, but I'll get that next here. Hang that back up, just clicks right in there. And then this job is finished. So thank you for following along. Remember to like and subscribe if you're not a subscriber. And I got some new projects coming up. I've got some tree work, some fencing. I got a mouse problem with a clothes dryer, somebody said. I believe the baffle was missing and mice came in through the wall into the dryer and actually made a nest in there. So that's going to be in the next day or two project. I'll go down and check that out. And what do you think of my color choices? Our flooring runs from the oak right straight into this sterling oak. And they wanted something clean, something easy to mop, Like I said, there's a little dust on it, but I think our color coordination looks good. I like the colors. I think they will. He likes blue. I think she likes green. And I believe this is, I don't know if this is a man bath or not, but he said maybe something in the blue or something. I'm like, all right, let's see what we can get. I chose a gray blue. Sky, blue gray sky, I think it was. Everything looks fresh and clean. I don't even think I'm going to put their items back. I'll just leave them in the boxes here and let them take them. They may not put all that back in there. But looks good. Thank you. We'll see you soon, guys.